You're watching Real Silent with Will and Jamie, where we keep it real and let the pictures do the talking. I'm Will.
I'm Jaime, and this week we'll be reviewing Erich von Stroheim's Greed. January 1924. A group of 12 takes their seats in a darkened theater. 9 hours later, they emerge, having just witnessed what one attendee, Los Angeles Times editor and columnist Harry Carr, later recalls as a wonderful picture that no one will ever see. I can't imagine what they're going to do with it. It's like Les Miserables. Episodes come along that you think have no bearing on the story, then 10 or 12 reels later, it hits you with a crash. For stark, terrible realism and marvelous artistry, it is the greatest picture I've ever seen. It wasn't until December when this movie would be officially released, and by then it had shrank to 2 hours and 20 minutes from 42 reels to 10. Widely considered to be the holy grail of the silent era, Erich von Stroheim's 1924 epic, Greed. Greed stars Gibson Gowland as John Doc McTeague, Zasu Pitts as Trina Seppi McTeague, and Jean Hersholt as Marcus Schuler. It was based on the 1899 novel McTeague by Frank Norris. Originally intended to be as close to the novel as possible, von Stroheim filmed 85 hours of footage pre-editing, or 446,103 feet of film, in spite of his contract stating that all films he would shoot for Goldwyn be under 8,500 feet. Filming began March 13, 1923, and concluded on October 6, 1923, for a total of 198 days. This was one of the first films shot entirely on location. This involved the takeover of an entire building in San Francisco, the partial renovation of the Big Dipper mine in Iowa Hills in Placer County, California, the Sierra Nevada mountains, and the final scenes in Death Valley, shot through July and August, with the highest recorded temperature at 123 degrees. In 1927, Erich von Stroheim was one of 10 directors asked to select his favorite film. He said, "Strange to say, this picture was by far my least successful one. I refer, of course, to Greed." So with the 9.5 hours, it was screened one time. And there's actually a list of people that it was screened to. I didn't copy the whole list down. It's available online to read. Um, Probably wouldn't know who I'm talking about anyway. But it was screened to 9, 10 people, a very short amount of people. All 9.5 hours of the 42 reel version. Obviously, at this point, we're talking about 1924. The history of movies was very short, but people were coming out of this saying this is the greatest movie that's ever been made. This is the greatest thing, the greatest story ever told.
Was
MGM
that
wasn't.
was that the people who viewed the movie at 9 hours?
Yes,
They were saying that this
yes.
is the greatest story ever told.
This is the greatest movie, greatest story ever told. Obviously, again, not a whole big frame of reference to go on at that point. But still, an amazing story. The book itself is amazing. Von Stroheim took very few liberties with the book. Some of the things he did change. He took away some of the anti-Semitic rhetoric tones that were in the book. Did change up a few things just to make it digestible to a point. But he also was not interested in making it a fairy tale. There was some talk, I believe, by some of the executives at Goldwyn that were saying, "Hey, how about at the end of this, you have McTeague wake up and it was all a dream?" 100%. They wanted a happy story back then. They wanted a happy ending.
Yeah.
They believed that more people would be, willing to tell their friends, "Hey, you should go see this. Crazy story all the way through, and it's got a good ending. You'll love it."
Yeah.
Kind of like the first try at a M. Night Shyamalan twist, if you will.
Yeah.
But he said no, absolutely. Did he wake up in the book? No, I didn't think so. So
Yeah.
we're leaving it at that.
Also, for him
Um,
cutting out the anti-Semitic undertones. Yeah, even though he was pretty famous in the beginning of his career for playing like German military, and that very, very German look, Boris Badenov, like he was the son of a Jewish cobbler, I think, right? He
Yep.
definitely was Jewish, but I think his dad was a shoemaker.
Yep. Yep.
So
And that might be a little bit of the reason why when
mhm.
he came over, he wanted to change everything. He wanted to be as not necessarily German, not, he's Austrian, but as German sounding as he could be with the Count Erich Oswald Hans,
Mhm.
kind of invent himself a little bit, but also kind of cool. Not gonna let the anti-Semitism ride. Um, and of course, with the things that von Stroheim said, famously, can't really take a lot of it to heart. He told a few people that he originally fell in love with this book, had to write it as a movie. He read it first in 1912 while he was still in New York. The real story from some of his historians, really probably he found the book when he moved to San Francisco in the 20s, late 1910s to the 20s. Uh, but again, the sentiment remained. He had to make the
Yeah,
movie. He had to make a movie out of it.
he was inspired by the story for sure.
Absolutely. So he does it to 42 reels. He's like, "Hey guys, this is great, right?" Goldwyn says, "No, there's no way. That's not happening." So they tell him, "You got to cut it." Okay. He cuts it down to 24 reels. At this point, it's about 6 hours. His idea is that he's going to screen it over 2 nights with intermissions in between, or intermissions in each night to kind of break the story up a little bit. And when you watch the 4 hour reconstructed version of it, you can definitely tell where he kind of meant to leave things off. There is an intermission in that one where it kind of breaks it right at 2 hours. So you can kind of tell where the two different parts would be, where they came in. In the meantime, a lady named June Mathis, who was an editor for writer, editor for Goldwyn, made her own cut of the movie. 13 reels, short. She made this while he was cutting the 24 reel version. He did not know about it. I think that at the time she made the cut and then she had to go to Europe to be on scene for Ben-Hur, uh, the story of Jesus or whatever that one is.
Hmm.
That's another good one. That's another one we should cover eventually. Um, eventually, they come back to him, say the 2 nights, the intermission, all that, that's not going to work. Cut it. Von Stroheim says, I don't know how much more I can cut without losing the story. Sends it to a friend of his, Rex Ingram, who was a director, writer, all that. And back in the day, you were everything back then. And Ingram had a man named Grant Whitlock. They cut it down to 18 reels. Rex Ingram told Stroheim, and this is a direct quote, "If you cut one more frame, I shall never speak to you again." He considered it a fantastic story. He loved the way that it was. I think that part of Ingram's cuts was the whole, it might have been the older couple that was cut out of it. Because at one point in the original edit of it, where they showed what all the people that live in that building do, Maria, the junk trader, the old couple, and McTeague, it was a 45-minute section in the movie showing what these people do on a Saturday morning.
Even the introduction of some of those people, it felt like it was getting away from the story. I watched the 4 hour version, the one that's got the stills clipped into it. And
Right.
as far as the story of McTeague, it didn't even seem like they really met. They just lived in the same building, even to that 4 hour version. Safely, I could say they probably could have been cut out.
Oh, you're talking about Grannis, old
Um,
old Grannis, the old guy.
yeah, the old
Yeah,
guy, the taxidermist.
yeah. So that shit, yeah, and von Stroheim, he wants as much as he can get. A couple of critics of the movie or not of the movie itself, but a couple of critics of his within Goldwyn criticized him for wanting to put every comma in the book into the movie. So,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what it felt like, especially a 42 reel version that takes 9.5 hours to screen. Not going to happen.
No. I mean, it'd be an all day event with intermissions, and I mean, if you're not providing lunch as well, people have things to do. But
I mean, bathroom
you know,
breaks, man. Like the bathrooms in these
exactly.
places probably were not the grand, like wall to
No.
wall stalls like we got now. You
Just a
probably
shack
had,
with a hole in the ground.
yeah, you probably had to go out back or something. So I'm good. Um,
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't think it would have happened nowadays. Oh my God, if they could find the 9.5 hour version,
Yeah, I'd sit down. I'd watch it. I'd want to watch it at home.
I
Where I
think
have my own restroom, my own kitchen nearby. But I can definitely see
yeah, that'd probably be
the
a pretty
appeal.
expensive theater trip and popcorn and drinks and all that. Probably wouldn't honor the free refills on that one.
No, no way. Free refills all day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Hey, I bought the
So
large popcorn. You want to give me another fill?
yeah, right. I mean, sometimes it seems like I'm throwing away most of the popcorn at the end of the movie anyway,
Yeah.
but I feel like I'd have to go back for more. I'd get hungry. So they were kind of at an impasse with it. Goldwyn was still saying they're not going to release it at the 18 reels. They did have a backup copy, the 13 reel cut. Um, this is going through from 1923, October 1923, when they'd finished filming, or earlier than that, probably. At any rate, worst comes to worst, April 1924, the Goldwyn Company merges with Metro, and in doing so brings in Louis Mayer, who will go into von Stroheim later. Him and Louis Mayer were not friends. They did not care for each other. As a matter of fact, that him and Stroheim had already been fighting at this point um, in previous studios that von Stroheim had worked for. He'd been kicked off a few projects of his. So, safe to say, the whole this is as much as I'm going to cut it. You're not cutting any more out of it. You can't do that to me. That was no longer going to fly.
Yeah.
So, MGM comes around. As it was going to happen, von Stroheim and Louis Mayer end up in a confrontation over greed. The full details of it, I haven't read into. Just the quick dirty of it is that at some point, von Stroheim declared to Mayer that all women are whores, and Louis Mayer responds by landing a punch on von Stroheim.
I now I want to look that up to find out the context of where that even came up. You know what I mean? I'm
I
just
don't know.
imagining the whole quarrel to be about the length of a movie, justifiably,
Yes,
and
but all women are whores.
yeah, and then out of nowhere, that's how I'm imagining it right now.
The RKO out of nowhere, the punch out of left field. Who knows? Anyway, it literally came to blows between these two over this movie or over von Stroheim's feelings about women, one way or the other. It came to blows.
Louis Mayer, the original feminist, right?
Hey,
Standing up
yeah,
for him.
I guess so. At that point, MGM was done with it. They said, "All right, June Mathis, you got it to 13 reels. We want it further down. We're just destroying the." And I kind of feel personally when I look back on this and I see that you have a studio executive that has an axe to grind with this director, and you have a director who has had him by the short and curlies this whole time. He's like, you know what? No, we're gonna make it digestible. We're gonna make it what we want. This is our movie. We paid for it to get made. Who cares? He's out. So they went back to June Mathis. They said, we're cutting it down further. She brought in a man named Joseph Farnham, who was known as a titles editor.
Okay.
He was the one. I don't know if it was in the 4 hour version or not, but in the 2 hour version, it definitely was. There's a title that says, Such was McTeague. Nobody knew what the hell that meant.
Okay.
It,
I remember that one.
It
in
was
the
literally right after he throws the guy off of the rail while he's saving the little baby bird, and the guy like smacks the bird out of his hand. He throws him off the little
yeah,
rail into the
yeah,
river. Rather than showing in the 4-hour version, they kind of go into McTeague's backstory with his father and his father being an angry drunk,
okay,
his mother being lonely at home, basically a widow already before the father died, and they cut all that out in the 2-hour version. They cut the whole backstory of McTeague out from that point where he threw the guy off the thing to the point where he takes off with the dentist. So you don't get any of that. You don't get the, okay, this is why he might be an angry, brutish man. He
yeah,
might have had a horrible upbringing or something like that. You don't get any of that.
gotcha.
So in their term of, we'll cut that whole sequence out and we're just going to say he throws a guy off a thing and that's how he was. Such was McTeague.
With the longer version, it seems to play that, you know, he's got a kindness to him, but he's quick to anger, you
Sure.
know, and a harsh anger too, where, you know, I mean, if someone smacked a little baby bird out of my hand, I'd probably deck him too, you know.
I'd be a little upset. Yeah. No.
Yeah, it's like, I was taking care of that little bird. Thanks
The
very
hell are you
much.
doing, buddy? That was my
Yeah,
bird. Like, come on now.
exactly.
And there was a couple of other stupid little titles that he'd put in there. There was one, let's go over and sit on that sewer. The part where him and Trina are out on their
Yeah.
date and he's playing the accordion.
Hmm.
That title card, rather than them working up to just going on a nice long leisurely walk, that title card of let's go sit on that sewer. People were laughing at these parts. They were not supposed to
Yeah.
be laughing at these parts. But at any rate, they ended up cutting it down to 10 reels, which was 10,067 feet.
Still
To
well
give
over the
that,
8,500.
still well over the 8,500, absolutely, because it did end up being about an hour and 45 minutes. I think there's some editing that was done in the 2-hour versions that you can find now to kind of draw it out a little bit and kind of bring some of the story around that you're not losing it all in those title cards. But just to contrast, we're talking about we went from 446,103 feet to, and I don't think I marked down how many reels that was. I think it was like 77 reels or something, 72 or something like that,
Yeah.
down to 10,000 feet of film. Obviously, some of that was going to get cut anyway, but you've cut 32 reels out of von Stroheim's original version.
Yeah.
That's all there was to it. That was what was going to come out. Now June Mathis is credited at the beginning of Greed because all the credits ran at the beginning back in those days. She is credited. Von Stroheim took that personally. However, at the time, because she was the head editor, head writer at Goldwyn and then Metro Goldwyn Mayer MGM, it was in her contract that she had to be credited in all of the movies, whether or not she touched them.
Yeah.
So that was contractual obligation. Von Stroheim still didn't care. He considered that to be the butcher of his film.
Yeah.
And what he said about that Farnham character was the film was cut by a hack with nothing on his mind but his hat. The man had a
That's a
way with
good one.
words.
Yeah.
The man had a way with words. So
Nothing on his mind but his hat. I like that.
yeah. So they released the film. It is a critical failure. Critics hate it. MGM did not advertise it very much. They had spent a ton of money on this movie.
I imagine, yeah.
200. I forget. Well, I think I've got it here. The final cost in the MGM records for this film, in the MGM records, some estimates go over that by several $100,000. The final cost to MGM on this movie was $546,883.
And
In the 1920s.
yeah, you can just add a zero for about 1,000%. So that's about 5 million today,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, probably a lot more than that. Probably a lot more than that.
Well, I remember I was doing seeing how much it is in today's value during the movie Greed when at some point she wins the lottery, for
Mhm.
$5,000. and it's very contentious. Everyone is, greedy. Everyone wants it, whether they are entitled to a cut of it or not. And her opinion in the beginning is that just her and her to be husband have a right to that money, but other people start conniving and thinking that they've got a right to it. And I remember thinking, how much is that in today's value that's got everyone so scheming? And it was about 55,000, so it was about another 1,000% increase.
So $546,000, we'll call roughly, we're not going to go with the 883,
Yeah,
is equivalent to the purchasing power of $10,344,496.84 today. That's not, I mean, okay, yeah, that's a lot of money. That's more money than I've ever seen, probably ever
yeah,
will. But you've got Avatar at $500 million, to film on green screen and all that. So, I think it says cumulative price increase of 1,794%.
yeah.
Still a big chunk of change. But
Oh,
traveling all the way back to yesteryear in 1924, they spent $546,000 on this movie, and in box office they got $274,000. So if you want to just cut that down by half, they spent almost 11 million. They got back about 5.5.
yeah.
So failure.
Box office flop.
Flop. They didn't do a whole lot of advertising for it. Again, Louis Mayer is in the driver's seat for this. They're like, okay, this is his magnum opus. Why are we going to put von Stroheim on this pedestal? Von Stroheim didn't do any advertising for it either.
Yeah,
He considered it to be an abortion of justice in his vision.
to be cut down. He wouldn't
Yeah, to be
advertise for a smaller version of what he wanted to show.
absolutely his vision. And
Yeah,
nowadays directors seem to have so much more control over that. Um, especially once they're an established. You take a Scorsese, and if
no
he
one's telling
says
him what to do.
no, if he says I'm going to do Greed, but I'm going to do based on the original script and writings and screenplay from von Stroheim, I'm going to do a 10-hour version of Greed. You don't have people nowadays that are going to say, Martin Scorsese, don't you dare do that.
Yeah,
You've got every studio and their mother lining up to give that man $100 million to see it happen, because not only great story, Holy Grail is very ingrained in movie history, but Martin Scorsese's name is on it, and more than likely Leonardo DiCaprio starring.
right. Yeah,
That
Leonardo
movie's going to make
DiCaprio as McTeague.
it. I'd watch it.
I'd watch it. Yeah,
I would watch it. Bring in. There's so many ways they could go with it. I've wished that somebody would step up and be like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for the 10-hour version. But also, I kind of wish they wouldn't, because it just kind of sits where it is. I would love to see the original 10-hour. Like, if I had a time machine, I would go back and
be one of those 10 people who got to see it.
I would crawl on my knees to Erich von Stroheim and say, please put me in that theater.
Oh, he'd
Please,
love
God.
that.
Please, God, I will pay you. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Play to the groveling of it. Please, sir. Do the whole
Mr.
Wayne's
Stroheim,
World.
I need to see the film. He'd have loved it. Yeah, grovel at him.
Do the Wayne's World. We're not
He would have
worthy.
felt justified. He'd be like, finally, someone gets it.
You get it. Yeah, I would just get it so that I could get in there and steal it and travel back in time with it.
Hell yeah.
And then, bring it back.
I
Watch
see
it
the whole
now.
cast of The Departed in all the roles now. You know what I mean?
That is one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's a great one. It's a great one.
One of my favorite movies of all time. But I could definitely see, Matt Damon playing off of Leonardo DiCaprio again.
He's
Matt
Marcus.
Damon he's Marcus.
Yeah.
You got Matt Damon's girlfriend from that. She's a big actress. I don't remember her name though. You got her.
Yeah.
She the psychiatrist, the psych. She's Trina.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Nicholson. He's got to have a spot, but we'll
Grannis.
figure that out later.
Why not? He could be Grannis,
Oh God. Well, you'd have to feature the old man a lot more than
A
like
lot more. Yeah.
10, 20 minutes here and there. Like but they all have to be in character. They all have to have that
Mhm.
crappy Boston accent while they're doing it.
Yeah.
That's what would make it. I would.
That
Sounds like an acid trip mixed with a fever dream mixed with like a I want this to be reality like
yeah.
yesterday.
Wishful thinking for sure. I like it.
How much money do I have to feed to an AI bot to get it to generate this?
Yeah. Yeah. We're coming up on it, you know? Here's all the
Yeah,
stills. Make it move.
yeah, make it move and make it with these people.
Yeah.
I would do it. But anyway,
Yeah.
so again, critical failure. It was like I touched on earlier. It was considered, I think, a direct quote: too morbid, too vile. There's murder. There's scenes of McTeague kind of pushing himself on Trina a little bit.
I would
You
call it
know.
that. I would call it that. She was asleep in the dentist chair.
Okay, I wasn't even talking about that one, but
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Um, that and that one was kind of inferred. Now I
Yeah.
don't know if you noticed in the 4 hour version, but there was the scene where he's learning from the dentist, right?
Hmm.
And they had the girl up there, and he wanted to switch spots with the dentist because he didn't want to work on the girl. So
Got it. So,
kind of
so,
an kind
so
of an
he,
idiotic throwback to that was they decided they were going to take Zazu Pitts and thinly disguise her as that girl, so as to kind of
okay.
foreshadow that eventually he's going to see another girl that looks like that, aka Trina, down the line, and he's going to all this stuff's going to flood back to him, and then he's got to be this horn dog about it, you know.
He was very no self control. I'll put it that
No,
way.
no,
And so, is that what they were trying to say? That they're
no.
intoning that he's the sort who doesn't have much control when.
Yes, yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
So funny. Have you ever watched The Babe with John Goodman about Babe Ruth?
Yeah, absolutely.
So in that movie, the one thing that you say to him that just pisses him off, and he sees red and he's ready to kill somebody. They call him incorrigible,
Gotcha. Yeah.
and you see his mannerisms where he back when they're talking about his younger years, he had rage,
Hmm.
and he drank like a fish. I mean, ate like it was going out of style, all that, just couldn't get enough, had no self control, had very little impulse control, considered to be incorrigible, not satisfiable, always wanted what he wanted and wanted more of it. So
Yeah.
I see a lot of the crossover in kind of that character with McTeague.
Okay.
He not necessarily to the point where he wanted to go to excess for everything. I'm not going to say that. I'm not even going to say that his greed was the problem of the movie.
I would say he was more of a victim of everyone else's greed, and then he gave into his own more base, violent instincts. Is the way it
Oh,
appeared to me. You know.
that's how I felt. That he didn't want all of her money.
No,
At any point did he want did he did not want all of her money until it became to the point where like,
that was all
hey,
that he could take that would hurt her.
exactly. Exactly.
When it got to the point where that money is what'll hurt her, because that's what she cares about most. That's when he wanted to take it away.
Mhm.
Up until I think they were married for 4 or 5 years, and it's like he never even brought it up. Seems like he
Well,
never even brought it up.
he to a point. Now in the 4 hour movie, or in the 4 hour version, I cannot rightfully remember. To be honest with you, I was ordering and eating pizza around the
Hmm.
time I was watching the 2 hour version. But they go and they look at the house.
Yeah.
Um, and he's pushing, pushing, pushing. She's like, "Well, do you have the money for this and that?" And he's like, kind of, "We have the money, you know." And she's pushing back of, "No, we don't have anything. We can't do that because what happens on a rainy day?" And I get that. As somebody who does have an impulse problem on spending, because I will spend money stupidly. My wife has to maintain the purse. I should not be trusted with cash because I'll spend it. But I kind of get that. But on the other side of it, I also get not wanting to spend it just in case. Also, we're talking about the 20s. We're
Yeah.
talking about people that were used to poverty. He was a miner in a gold mine. So he was used to being able to see it and mine it, but not take it and not
Yeah.
have it and not spend it. So I think he had a certain amount of self control about it. He's not saying, "We got $5,000. Let's go out and buy a $5,000 house." You
Yeah.
know, he was.
They were still looking to rent for $25 a month, I think, something like that.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. Yeah. For fun. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, come on. But I see a lot of the Marcus for sure of, that's my money. Well, no, it's
Eh,
not.
no.
When they're in the bar and he's like, "Well, that you took what's rightfully mine. When am I going to see any? Am I ever going to see any of that money?" This scene right here that we're looking at on the still.
Yep. And
And he
he,
says, "It ain't mine to give,"
yeah,
and that kind of shows you how McTeague felt about it. It's not my money. It's Trina's money. You can
yeah,
go ask her, but I tried asking her for a little bit of money to help buy a house, and she said nope.
yeah.
So, good luck. Doubt
Eh,
it's gonna happen.
and her family was obviously not of great means either. So when she got that
Sure.
little bit of money, then she really went overboard, strangling it. She invested it, never told him about the investment either. So he
Mm-hmm.
thought that they had 5,000 liquid in the bank, and she had invested it to take a $25 a week or a $25 a month interest, which, I mean, that's not that much, I guess, but
I mean, back
it was
then,
$25 a month, you know, to do not a whole lot of anything. So it's not
you
bad,
got
I
to look
guess.
at the purchasing power of it.
Yeah,
A haircut costs a haircut and a shave. What is shave and a haircut? 2 bits,
two bits. Yeah,
50 cents. I mean, I'm good to get out of there for $30 plus tip now.
yeah.
So let's see, $25. It would have been about $470 back then. So four
So
hundred
all right,
seventy dollars a month and an interest. I mean, yeah, that's fine.
that's not
Plus,
bad. Yeah,
well, considering the fact that they were living at where he worked, so there was, that would have been fine. Um, but yeah, I kind of feel like this movie was maybe 5 years too early. If this movie had hit in the Depression,
yeah,
it would have hit differently.
I think so.
Um,
Being right before people didn't have that mass idea of need and
yep,
want. You know, th- this was definitely a couple years ahead of its time for that,
yeah.
to
We were,
strike a chord emotionally with the audience.
yeah, we were still in the era where everything wasn't great. Financially, I wouldn't say it was amazing, but also we weren't there yet.
Yeah,
We weren't to the point where now we see a lot of the generation who are still alive today who had to live through that. And you go into their kitchen and they've got canned goods that they're afraid to throw away have been bad.
yeah.
But in a pinch, a little bit of botulism, a little bit
Mm-hmm.
of facial paralysis is better than starving to death.
Yeah, it cooks right down.
Yeah, just a little bit of mushroom, it's not going to kill anything.
uh,
So, obviously, again, great movie. I feel like great movie. Eventually, it started to get a little bit of a cult following, the 50s and 60s. Now, the big problem comes around from the fact that back then, when you cut a film, there wasn't this big pull for let's keep all of this in an archive somewhere just in case
yeah.
we ever want to release a director's cut one day. It was this stuff's made out of silver nitrate, number one. It's expensive. We can reuse it. It's taking up space. It's
Yeah.
heavy. Get rid of it. Or it's very flammable.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want that. We don't want 10 million tons of this crap laying around. If somebody comes in here and flicks a cigarette, because you could smoke everywhere back then. If you
Yep.
didn't, you were weird.
Yep.
Um, But, you know, somebody comes in, flicks a cigarette the wrong way, and there goes MGM, and possibly Paramount too. Who
Yeah.
knows? So it was get rid of it. I'm sure certain things would sit on the shelf for a while, maybe after release when they start to see how people are receiving the movie, if they need to change anything. I do know that there was an additional cut that had to be made to it when it was filmed or when it was shown in New York. Um, and going back to the censorship of all of it and why people thought it was vile and McTeague's kind of touchy feeliness, this goes to von Stroheim's style. One of the scenes that had to be cut out in New York was the scene where they're out in the rain and they're at the train station, and he goes in for the kiss, and he like, "You're gonna kiss me," and gets
Yeah.
all up on her, right? And then feels bad about it afterward. Do you remember what happened in between him forcing the kiss and her backing away from him?
I watched the longer version. That was a longer scene too. I, which part do you mean?
The train.
Okay.
That was part of von Stroheim's, like, there's a scene from Family Guy where, or from something, where there's a train going through the tunnel and there's a rocket ship taking off and there's all
Gotcha. Yeah.
kinds of kind of the Austin Powers, like, oh
Yep.
my God, it looks like a giant Johnson.
Yep.
Von Stroheim intentionally of like, this man's coming at her like a freight train. He's
Gotcha.
They were like, dude, you're not slick. That ain't happening.
Yeah. Okay. I'll need to rewatch that part then because that one it did go over my head. They were at a train station, so my mind was ready to accept one would drive by.
No, it
Um,
was the train was the whole thing.
yeah.
The long and strong. It was that was a little innuendo thrown in there by von Stroheim. And again, New York state censorship said no, not gonna happen.
Wow.
So,
That'd be pretty tame by today's comparison, but
pretty tame. Yeah.
yeah,
Extremely tame.
yeah.
I mean, today practically it's, softcore porno will make its way on TV and
Mm-hmm.
or well, TV, movies, whatever.
Yeah.
So let's see. In the 50s and 60s, there's several stories on how it became the holy grail of the silent era. Um, 50s and 60s, Lot Eisner um, was a executive at MGM. He found reportedly, several cans labeled McTeague, and they were destroyed because the executives were
Wow.
like, well, there's not any movies that we've ever made called McTeague. Who the hell is McTeague? Get rid of it. Like, we don't need any of it. Now, that's a story of how it happened. Apparently, somewhere around the 30s, 40s, von Stroheim asked for the cut footage from the film. Another MGM executive named Al Lewin and one of their editors, Margaret Booth, apparently went through, tried to look for it, couldn't find it. So the guess is that somewhere in that time, because obviously that's a couple decades after he's asking for it when they reportedly threw it away, somewhere in that all amount of time, it was gone. Von
Possibly
Stroheim,
mislabeled.
possibly because well, and the thing about it is there was several things about what is the working title for the film, what was the working title
Mm-hmm.
for the film.
And that happens
Um,
today.
well, von Stroheim had actually released a movie. I'm gonna look it up because I didn't prepare this. It was called Foolish Wives by Erich von Stroheim. That movie was in 1922. So the working title for Greed, based on his stories from the thing, was Greedy Wives. Was actually the
Gotcha.
working title for Greed. Uh, as far as I know, I don't think McTeague was actually ever the working title. It could have been maybe for the script. Um, but when they were filming it, it was Greedy Wives. So doesn't really ring in that it would be labeled McTeague unless maybe June Mathis labeled them that way when she was cutting it, or one of the several other people that was cutting it labeled it that way. When you have that many cooks in the kitchen, it's hard to tell.
Yep.
If that was even the case, if they were labeled McTeague. So kind of hard to figure out on that. It was definitely Erich von Stroheim. He considered it the loss of a child, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, if you heard him talk about it, I did pick 2 Erich von Stroheim quotes about Greed, and I think one of them is actually at the beginning of the 4-hour version. No matter if I could talk to you 3 weeks steadily, could I possibly describe, even to a small degree, the heartache I suffered through the mutilation of my sincere work. He went on to say, I consider I have made only one real picture in my life, and nobody ever saw that. The poor, mangled, mutilated remains were shown as Greed. That kind of...
That one hits.
It does. It really does. And there was, I think, a couple of things where people had talked to one of his children about it. And they said that this man was bitter about that until the day he died. And think about all the movies and all the acting and everything that von Stroheim did. And for that one to have settled on him, it adds to the mysticism of the movie to me. It adds to the, my God, I wish there was a 9-hour version of this film.
Yeah.
For that to have stuck with this man and him be on his deathbed and still bitter about the fact that this one movie, out of all the great things that he did, is considered his biggest regret, his biggest failure. To him personally, he took it personally. It was his biggest failure. He's a perfectionist. It is
Yeah.
what it is.
Even if it was, he never knew it was found or recovered. If it was, that would be some sort of posthumous redemption for his work. His kids would have been able to speak up on that, like, oh, good, it's found. At least Dad would have been happy up there to know.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. But yeah, no, as it stands, with it being mostly lost, even the 4-hour version that I saw, it's just stills clipped in. So it's not like there was another 2 hours found that was put together masterfully. It was stills. Maybe even some of them were set photography that were used in conjunction with knowledge of the story.
So those were actually a lot of the stills that were used were found. I don't remember by who, but they were found. They were put into a book that included the original screenplay. They basically just told the story of Greed based on the original screenplay, and they used those pictures as well as stills of the video itself to recreate the full story and put it into a book form. I believe they were found somewhere in the 60s, 70s by an archivist that put the book together. It could have possibly been that von Stroheim got to see that before he died.
Okay.
But the actual the movie, the 4-hour version that we keep alluding to, in 1999, Turner Entertainment, they did a recreation on it. Cost them $100,000 to get to cut it all, to redo the score on the film, based on what they could find of the originals in the vaults, to take that book, and they used that book as a big outline to recreate and put all the things back into the movie that were just thrown out.
You see a lot of scenes get reused as well.
Absolutely. A lot of the ones with his dad.
Yeah.
Because there weren't that many. He was a very bit character. There would not have been that many photographs of him. There's one right here. The fight at the picnic. A lot of weird stuff happened on this set too, by the way, that I haven't even glanced on. That's a whole nother story of just mishaps. Like that he didn't get rid of all of it,
Not all of it.
Yeah, he still had to show the stereotypical Greed because her family's Jewish.
Yep.
We're just gonna leave that one alone.
Yep.
But apparently, I believe Jean Hersholt broke Gibson Gowland's arm. He hurt him for real in that picnic scene.
Really?
I know he knocked him out. He knocked him out. Um, you look
Also,
at this big guy.
yeah.
They look. They weren't stuntmen back then. They didn't have stuntmen stand in. They pull a punch. Okay, you mean
Yeah.
like pull back before I hit him? Like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? You know.
I mean, after one of the most intense filming as well,
Yeah.
from what it sounds like, usually you're done filming a movie within a week, probably.
Yeah.
And here they were almost a whole year filming.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows when during the filming process that was, but being in character that long, the man playing McTeague may have actually developed some anger towards the man playing Marcus, because in that scene there was already some bad blood. So
Oh
I
no,
thought it was funny,
no,
like
no,
from
no.
the story perspective,
You got it
for
backwards. Marcus knocked out McTeague.
and it,
Jean Hersholt knocked out Gibson
yeah,
Gowland.
yeah, but them going too far and everything, and
Oh yeah.
the characters seem to have animosity both ways.
Well,
And
and
I thought it
so
was
in
funny
the
for in the story, everyone had this great idea. Let's have Marcus and McTeague wrestle.
yeah,
It'll be
yeah,
fun. That'll be a fun time, won't it? And it turns out not to be fun. Not
yeah,
not in the film. He gets his ear bit, as you can see right
yeah,
here. He's
yeah.
bleeding down his shirt.
I'm tired of looking at you. Like, just deck him
Yeah,
one good time so he can get five. He can get a smoke break. Like,
yeah. At some point, they didn't mean to be method acting, but they were lost in character, I'm sure.
so the Death Valley scene, end of the
Yeah.
movie. Death Valley. I think there was like, I forget how many people they took out there, but he insisted on it being on location.
Yep.
They were 100 miles away from the nearest hotel, nearest water, anything. Somebody actually died out there. One of the cast
Really?
or one of the crew, I believe it was a cook or a cafeteria personnel or something. He died out there. Several other were sick and had to be sent back to California. But Jean Hersholt, I think he had to be hospitalized with internal bleeding as a result of filming in Death Valley because they were out there for so long.
Wow.
27 pounds, I think he said he lost during the filming in Death Valley. And in the scene where they're supposed to be like fighting at each other, and von Stroheim he's behind the camera and he's trying to amp them up because at this point they're tired. And it's August. They're filming this in late July and August. Okay. It is 100 degrees all day, every day out there, and they have very, very little water. They were actually having to wrap the cameras and the film stock in ice to keep it from melting so that it wouldn't degrade by the time they got it in the camera to shoot, and then wrap the camera with ice so that it wouldn't melt it by shooting the shot. Intense,
Yeah.
but they're exhausted. They're worn out. They can't fight anymore. And Erich von Stroheim is behind the camera saying, "Come on, damn you, hate each other. Hate each
Yeah.
other as much as you hate me." And that's how we got Death Valley. That's how we got the awesome ending to the movie,
Picture my face. Picture my face.
Yeah,
And just
you hit him and you punch him, and
mhm.
that's probably how Gibson Gowland got knocked out.
Yeah.
This little German kraut bastard.
Yep.
You know, I'd do it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd just turn around and deck him. I'd charge the camera. Like,
Yeah.
all right, dude, here's
Which
one
would
for
actually
you.
be an all right shot too,
That would. It would be that would make for good. It's for the good of the film.
Like this one right here, where he's got that intense look and he's looking off.
Mm-hmm.
He was looking off to see what was around, but yeah, menacing McTeague coming at the camera. Good
They
shot.
kept them out there for them to grow their beards.
Yeah.
I just want that to sink in. They kept them out there for them to grow their beards.
Not
Okay?
grow your beards and then come, like grow your beards while out there.
No. Grow your beard 2 months before filming.
Yeah.
Let's head out to Death Valley and knock this one out real quick.
Mm-hmm.
so that
Shave, and we'll go do the rest.
shave it and everybody. Yes, that's how they do it now. If you got or if they don't stick one on you, that's how
Yeah.
they do it now. You want to have them have a beard later on in the movie, you make them grow the beard and you film that part of the movie, and then you. But was anybody going to tell Erich von Stroheim?
He wanted to shoot it in chronological order as well, huh?
I guess. I mean, there's probably part of that 400,000 feet of film. There's probably a single camera that was trained on each of Gibson Gowland and Jean Hersholt. That's just like a time lapse of their beards coming out.
Yeah.
Or maybe von Stroheim measuring it and then saying, "Yes, yes, long enough. Let's go." Too many people have been hurt already. Their beard is perfect. It's fine.
No, he never once considered other people.
Well, why'd he die? I'm fine.
Yeah, exactly.
So one of the last things about the movie, one of my favorite things about the movie, is the myths about what happened to the original cut. And I thought you would get a kick out of this as well. Um, like another movie that we've been talking about, maybe one of the next ones we're gonna do. There is a vault in South America that has an original cut of the 9-hour version, and
Wow.
once a year on New Year's Eve they take it out to show it. It's a myth. It might be true. Who knows? I'm not going to go backpacking to South America to try to find it, but there was a Texas millionaire apparently that was sold a copy of it once upon a time. A film society in Boston apparently held a private screening of a print that was found by a World War II vet in Berlin.
Okay.
The American Film Institute found a copy at a garage sale. At this point, Jimmy Hoffa
Yeah.
is probably hanging out with the original cut.
Inside a block of cement in a giant stadium, it's Jimmy Hoffa clutching the 9.5 hour version of Greed.
It's
Find Jimmy.
in Al
Find Greed.
Capone's. It's actually in Al Capone's real vault. The one
Not the
that
fake one
Geraldo,
that Geraldo
not
found.
the one
Yeah.
that Geraldo messed up on. So
Mm-hmm.
another one, the head of the Film Society in Redwood, California, owned the longest version, which he purchased in Europe. And my personal favorite myth about the original cut. This one came from Erich von Stroheim himself. He claimed that Benito Mussolini owned a personal copy of the original cut of this film. Stereotypical Italian hand for that one.
Yeah.
If the Italians have a copy of this movie,
Please share it.
I demand its release. I will learn Italian
Right?
just to be able to watch that cut of the movie. But yeah, it's just it's old Hollywood, man. It's gone. The best that we're gonna get is the 4-hour version, and you know what? God bless the people at Turner Entertainment for doing that 4-hour version, giving us something close to what Erich von Stroheim imagined when he sat down to make this movie. Again, a whole lot of movie history just wrapped up into this one. The
Yeah.
first serial epic, the first shot on location. A lot of the locations now they had to get artistic with it because the San Francisco earthquake of 1906, I think it actually destroyed the buildings that were the actual buildings that they were based on. But they did their best and they took over as much of San Francisco as they could. Zazu Pitts actually almost got killed by a trolley car at one point, filming. So, but then you also got the history of where did we get MGM? It happened in the middle of in between this movie being shot and being released. Metro Goldwyn Mayer wasn't a thing when this movie was starting to get shot, and then it was. And now we have MGM. I think it's actually Amazon MGM now. But
These
still,
days, yeah.
the Lion's Head
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have that. It's just so much. The name of Erich von Stroheim, It means so much to so many different parts of filming, and especially where you're not doing as much of the, like we mentioned with Cleopatra, where you see it all on the scene and that's what you see, and then we're going to the next scene.
Yeah.
The zooming in on the faces of the act when Trina's sitting in the chair getting the dental work done, and you zoom in on McTeague's face and you can see like how he's pained because he wants to kiss her so bad, and you zoom into her and you see her helpless because she's passed out
Yeah.
on the ether. The breaking of the pipe,
Yeah.
um, that scene, the bar scene. Von Stroheim wanted to kill Gibson Gowland, I promise you, because he wanted Jean Hersholt to actually throw that knife. Yeah, well, Goldwyn at the time, wasn't MGM, but Goldwyn said,
Yeah.
no way in hell. That's going to be a trick shot. So don't, please, God, don't." And if you
Yeah.
look at the movie, the way he throws it is he kind of like underhand, like tosses it like a boomerang, and then it
Yeah.
all of a sudden is going straight. But yeah, they said no, absolutely not. But then that part of that scene where Marcus breaks his pipe, the zooming in on the pipe, you would have just assumed that the pipe broke, but that kind of cinematography wasn't thought of. It wasn't brought about. You see a lot of that in Murnau.
Yeah.
A lot of the zooming in, a lot of and a lot of those German expressionist types of directors, you see that zooming in, that paying attention to the very close detail.
Yeah.
Um,
They want you to focus on it and like linger on it for a moment.
yeah, absolutely. They want that to have that effect that it's going to stay with you. Other parts where he raises his hand like he's about to hit Trina, and it zooms in on his hand. You know, you don't have to zoom in on the hand to know that this guy's raising up about to beat his wife. You don't.
Yeah.
But the the vileness, the mean of clenching that fist together, that meant something that you wouldn't otherwise get if you were just looking at the whole thing and he's just like getting
Yeah.
that close up on it. You know, it.
Because of all these scenes that he wanted left in, and that it's a modern mentality, but to want to say, well, why don't we break it up into hour-long snippets? We'll release it as a serial. Um, how'd that not dawn on anybody? Because it would have preserved the integrity of what he was trying to show.
I think that
It
they
just
were
wasn't a thought.
afraid. I think they were afraid that people were just going to lose interest. Like, okay, so you've come and you've seen 4 hours of this epic, and now you're going to come out and watch hour 5,
Mhm.
and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9, and I think they didn't think that people would consume like that back then.
Yeah. Uh,
Um,
the movie theaters are where people would go to watch their news. It was just a theater, you
sure,
go see your news, you go see everything there. But
100%, yeah.
the idea of trying to draw people back for an extended story, it's besides a couple cartoon characters who are just in different situations, it wasn't really continuity stories being told like that.
A good example of that, something we can go after. It's not silent films, but the Batman serials
Hmm.
from the 1930s. I tread lightly on those because it was in the period, or 1930s, 1940s. I tread lightly on those because it was in the period where we were in World War II and we were fighting against the Japanese, and they leaned very,
Yeah,
very heavy into America good, Japanese bad, all the
yeah,
words, and that I'm not going to repeat. Very, very, yeah. Um, I'm a Batman fan. I love Batman.
yeah. Same.
I wanted to see, where it came from. Very weird. I would give the cinematography for it. It watches more like a horror movie, much like
Yeah.
Greed. Greed is not a horror film. Um, but just the creepiness of it, the eeriness of it, of how old it is, the graininess of the film, you get that.
Those long shots on people's faces where their scowl is growing, They're really working themselves up into a frenzy.
Yeah, no, it's like the one with the train where the very old where they're showing a train coming at the movie theater or at the screen, and people in the movie theater start running because it's
Hmm.
brand new. You didn't know, like this train's about to bust out of the screen and kill all of us. Um, you didn't know, and also again, they didn't want the macabre story. They didn't want the bad story. They wanted a good
Yeah,
ending. This was not a good ending. This was a fantastic movie. It was a fantastic ending, but it was not a good ending.
it wasn't a happy ending.
No, it wasn't a happy ending.
It
Right.
was the
Yeah.
appropriate ending for the story. It was a good ending in that. I mean,
I just got to say, him looking down and seeing that he's handcuffed now to a dead man,
yeah,
and that he's killed the donkey. They shot a hole in the water, and that's it. That is what it is. And taking out
welcome
the
to
bird and
yeah.
releasing that was just
That was good. The bird ties it back to the beginning,
mm-hmm.
back to the such as McTeague,
Yeah.
but in reverse. So first he was taking care of the bird, and then someone messed with the bird, and he really messed back with them. And this one, he's got Marcus there, and he only has the bird because he was out prospecting again.
Mm-hmm.
So he would have a canary, and so it's incidental, but a callback.
Yeah.
And so it was a good ending. It was I mean, probably the ending was is one of my favorite parts when it ended, but it was one of my favorite parts
No, it was
because it
amazing because you
it
get
really
at that.
wrapped it up nice.
Yeah, at that very end of it, he's looking at the gold and he's looking at the vastness of the desert. He's looking at the fact that he is he is fated at this point.
Hmm.
It is sealed. He is going to die where he is.
And the only thing out there is a band of guys looking for him
Yeah, in Death Valley.
in
Like in
Death
like
Valley. If anyone finds him, or the only people looking for him right now, it's a it's a posse
mhm.
trying to string him up because he killed his own wife. You know?
And if you actually count when they left, there were 20 of them.
Yeah,
When they get to Death Valley, there's 8. So 12 of these bad boys have already died trying to
yeah,
cross the Sierra Nevadas. Um, sorry about it. You're not getting out that totality of it, the ending of it, where it's just realizing that this is it. You
yeah,
know, what's he gonna do when the camera cuts? I know what I'd do. Um, there's there's a there's a gun.
yeah,
He's got a bandolier. I'm not gonna thirst to death. Kind of is
yeah.
what it
That
is.
he had his one way out for sure.
Yeah. And
But I think,
that's the beautiful part about it is he just left it. He didn't show him like he probably couldn't have got away with him doing
yeah,
it. Probably couldn't have got away with showing it. I'm sure that was
no,
heavily implied that that's how the man went out. But just even then, leaving that up to the audience's interpretation of what could have been the ending of McTeague. Such was McTeague in the
such was
end.
McTeague. Yeah,
Yeah. Just great storytelling. Great
it was.
storytelling.
I'm always gonna want to see that longer version.
You know, um, if there is an afterlife and there is in the beyond, I will ask,
Yeah,
can I just watch the? You know what? At that point, if I'm dead and I'm in heaven, to hell with the 9 hour version. I want all 85 hours.
yeah.
Set me down. I want to see the whole thing, everything that got
Get
cut.
Eric in here to explain it to me, right?
I want him with the
Like,
monocle. I want
yep,
him with the cigar filter. I want him
the
in his
commentary
best.
from the horse's own mouth.
Yes, I want him pacing back and forth with his hands behind his back in his best strict German, telling me why he did it this way and why I must appreciate it, and I'll love every minute of it.
Hmm. Yeah, there's time. You know what I mean? Why not?
Yeah, you got time. What are you waiting for? This is forever. All right,
Yeah,
cool. Give me the 85 hour, you know?
yeah.
Give me all of it. I don't know. It's a great movie. I would recommend it. Nobody's seen it. You should. There's no reason not to see it, especially if you're watching this on YouTube because it's on YouTube about 7 or
Many
8
different
different
times.
times. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. 4K versions. I mean, now this movie was shot in 1924, so take that how
Take
you will. 4K.
take it with a grain of salt. If anyone says 4K on anything made before the 80s,
Yeah. I
it,
can't
it wasn't
imagine.
shot that way.
Yeah.
Upscaling makes it look funny, and they can't upscale these old movies to anything. I mean, not even 720. I don't think it's all.
I
You
think the
know,
4K part is like they actually put like a good backing track of music in it, maybe. Now I will say the 2 hour version that I watched, when you look at that quality versus the one that Turner did, um, potato quality. That's all I'm gonna
yeah,
say. Just bad. And it's to the point where you're like, okay, I understand how nobody got to like appreciate the finer details of this in the theater because very. I had to put on my glasses. I had to get up to the TV a couple times. It's very blurry, but
yeah.
awesome movie. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I love it.
We
I'm
did.
gonna go watch it again. Always like always. Any final thoughts?
No, it's definitely not the last von Stroheim movie we go over,
No, not at all. No.
and I think my wife put it best that his story, Erich von Stroheim's story of himself, is more interesting than almost any movie he made. So that the man's a character for sure, just a living character who wanted to make movies.
He was one of, if not one of the earliest, but probably the most notable early eccentric of
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood. The legend of Erich von Stroheim and the movie shoots that would go over. That's why when he came into Goldwyn, he's like, no, it can only take you like so many weeks, and you can only do so many feet. He's like, okay, but
Yeah, we'll see.
the first movie I'm gonna do is 400,000 feet. Oh, that's fine. You're Erich von Stroheim. Are you kidding?
Yeah,
Definitely a legend, and definitely, yeah, we will be going over more of his work for sure. But that's all. Take us out.
and that's all. Then, thank you everyone for watching Real Silent. I'm Will. This is Jamie.